Nampak manufactures packaging in metal, glass, paper and plastic.
Exactly. So this is an interesting company. It's again been a bit of a sleeping industrial player on the South African market, but it's made major moves in recent years into Africa, acquiring and building out plants in both Angola and Nigeria. Now derives about 30% of its revenue and profits from the Africa outside of South Africa region.
Market cap 28.4 billion rand, PE ratio of 17 and a dividend yield of 3.78. Let's start with the share price, which has just come up, and a downturn happening at the moment. Could be opportune. This could be something that we look at for potential upside from current levels.
Well, I think it has done well. Last year we saw some earnings where there was a bit of a debate in the market whether it was positive or negative. They had a bit of a tax break, and they're focusing on their African divisions where they sold off some of their non-core assets and actually using that cash to move into Africa. I think it's a positive story. I think it's a company that's showed solid results. They've been focusing, like they say, on areas where they can actually control the input, and that is basically cost controlment. So they're focusing on that side, and they're moving into Africa at a fast pace. They're growing that side of the business at around 25% per annum, and it's already comprising 30% of their assets.
So this could be the story going forward, that
Yes.
it's all about Africa and traction on the broader continent.
Yes, because they're a significant capital investment in Angola in can manufacturing. That's for drinks industry. And similarly, they bought a business from one of the global Alcan leaders in Nigeria, which was a bit of a mystery. They built a new plant and then they wanted to exit. So I think that will be a plus. But remember, they're a massive player in glass here. They're the lead manufacturer for beer bottles in this country and most of the other bottles in the industry. They've got a big new conversion into aluminium for making beer cans and drink cans, because remember, we used to be steel in this country. Now we're switching to aluminium. So they did take a little bit of a margin downturn in order to secure long-term contracts from ABI and SAB Miller. But I don't know.
I remember
think they're doing well.
about the FD or the CEO, Nampak related.
Yes, so what has happened recently there was that Andrew Marshall was the guy who turned around the business. And then he quit unexpectedly, but he's been replaced by a very strong executive, Andre de Ruyter, who was with Sasol before and was involved with Sasol's global operations, and seems a very good replacement.
I agree. I think the fact that they focused on the glass in South Africa is it's a lucrative market. Also, when you consider all the green aspects around plastic, it's an interesting and a growing area of packaging, and they're the leader here. So good company to be in.
One final point to make here is that they used to be involved with everything, one end of packaging to the other, but they've recently been doing some dispositions. They sold their cartons and labels business to Caxton, which is in the printing game, and they're busy selling their tissue, which is, loo paper and tissue paper, to someone else, I'm not sure who, and a bunch of other sort of paper-related low-margin activities.
So divesting from non-core
demonstrating
assets.
that they're taking, their capital efficiency seriously. Yes. And, shutting down plants that haven't been performing well, etc., etc.
New management coming in. Paul gives it the thumbs up. So do you. Do you think that we're going to see unlock in the share price as a result of new strategies from the new team?
Well, I think we could, just comparing the valuation, it is not cheap, but it's a company where I see growth prospects coming from. So when you consider what we've seen in Africa, and this company has actually been able to grow their earnings into Africa, and I think packaging is probably an area where we could still see massive growth into Africa. If you need to transport any sort of good, there's some sort of packaging that it needs to have around it. So I'm giving it the thumbs up.
Hot from hot from you, Paul?
Yeah, I'm going to go with hot too. I think it's done some good work, and it's starting to develop a good narrative in terms of future earnings growth.